Hey guys, this is Wolfie. I'm Wolfie. This is Wolfie. And today we're going to talk about the 49ers losing to the Chiefs. Sad day. Sad day. We're going to talk about what I think was the reason why we lost. Actually take back some blame that I put on a certain side of the ball during that game as well. Just a little heated. So, hold on. I forgot. Hold on. Sorry. I know. I'm prepared. I'm sorry. I'm prepared. I know. Hold on. I'll be right there. Whew. They do right now. They definitely are not. They're definitely not top 10. I give you that. I still think we're like playoff bound. I still think we can be a playoff team. I'm not concerned about us being the worst team in the NFL or being like a top 10 bad team at all. I don't think we're that kind of a team, but we're definitely somewhere between the 20 and 10s of rating between teams for sure. I would definitely say that. Yeah. So right now the 49ers have a lot of things they need to figure out, but before we get into anything else, we're going to just go ahead and talk about the elephant in the room, which is who would I put most of the blame on? Clearly there was multiple things, just like every single week where there's something is going wrong and someone is to blame every single time. And there's more than one person to blame every single time, it seems. And there's always a majority of a blame to go around to somebody. And if I had to blame someone for this loss straight up, is Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy was the reason why we lost that game. I love Brock Purdy. I defend Brock Purdy with my life. I actually constantly claim how elite he is. This game did not give me any ground to stand on. This was the worst game I have ever seen Brock Purdy play. I mean, it was hands down worse than the Ravens game. The Ravens made great plays. They made great blocks. They did what they had to do. A couple tip passes went the wrong way. There's a couple things you could say about Brock Purdy in that game where you're like, hey, those 4 picks that he threw against the Ravens last year were like, okay, there's some tip balls here and there and stuff like that. And this game, though, is hands down worse. This was his worst game. He made bad decisions constantly. It's almost as if, and the way I like to compare it, I compare it to the fact it's like he played like he did in the second half versus the Minnesota Vikings last year. It's almost as if he had a concussion. It was really weird seeing this Brock Purdy out there. I understand that there was wide receivers issues. I understand there's some misconnections and stuff, but there was times where regardless of who the receiver was, why did he make the decision to throw it? Take the sack if you have to. Throw it out of bounds if you have to. But there was just moments where he really forced the ball as if, I don't know who to blame in the situation, but as if he was told, hey, you got to throw this ball no matter what, even if there's 4 people there or not. You're throwing this ball to him. That's what it seemed like to me. And that is baffling because the first interception that he threw, which I believe was his first pass off of play action, was terrible. That was almost as bad as Baker Mayfield's interception that he had in the corner last night against the Ravens, where there was nobody open. He threw it directly at the defender. He threw it directly at Eric Reed. Eric Reed? Can't remember his name. The safety, number 20. Threw it directly at him. I didn't understand that. Then later on in the game, he threw an interception. We're in the red zone where I think we're down 4. I think it was 9 points. I don't remember exactly what it is, but we needed that touchdown. We were going down the drive. Everything was going great. We had everything going our way. I would have hated if we kicked a field goal, but a field goal would have been better than nothing in that situation. He threw an interception that some will say, oh, well, his hand got knocked out, so that's how the interception handling. McKivitz couldn't stop. I don't remember who it was on the right. I think it was Karlaftis. It could be him that knocked the ball out of his hand almost, and maybe like a funky ball. That wouldn't have mattered because who he was throwing to was Chris Connolly, and Chris Connolly was not open. He was completely double covered. There was no separation whatsoever. He should have lived to see another down, and he threw the ball anyway. He threw the ball into double coverage. No, the last pick was the one where he threw to Ronnie Bell, I believe. Or is it the second one? I don't know. The second one where he threw, if you want to talk about that one where he threw to Ronnie Bell, that you have to put the blame on Brock Purdy because the ball's in his hands and he threw it. And Brock Purdy takes responsibility for that throw. However, if you want to be realistic about it, that was because Brock Purdy and Ronnie Bell do not have a connection. That's because Ronnie Bell does not know what Brock Purdy is going to do with the ball. That is because Ronnie Bell ran the wrong route. Because clearly, when Brock Purdy throws a ball, he throws a ball with anticipation. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows that Brock Purdy throws a ball with the expectation the receiver is going to be there. He threw that ball where there's no receiver there because Ronnie Bell decided to break downwards. So personally, I think that's on Ronnie Bell more so than Brock Purdy in that situation. But Brock Purdy is the quarterback, so he must take responsibility for that. But if you wanted to take away that whole aspect of it, it was without a doubt Ronnie Bell's fault in that situation. So, but the second pick where he threw it in the end zone, that was bad. That was 110% his fault. He would have threw it in to double coverage. There was nobody there. There was nobody open. There was nothing there at all. So, and again, I love Brock Purdy. I'm a huge Brock Purdy defender, but I'm realistic when there's nothing there to defend. And in this game, the defense, I gave the defense shit during the game, but like when things are just flying high, the speed of the game's going, you just like want to blame this, you want to blame that. So usually the next day or the day after or whatever, you start to think like, okay, logically, this was the reason, this was the reason, this was the reason. The defense actually played pretty good. The defense actually played really well, in my opinion. And so I want to take back that criticism I had during the game because I know I really would love the defense to complement the offense, but the offense was just so bad. Brock Purdy was just so bad that there's nothing I can really say. The defense, why couldn't you just make up for all of Brock Purdy's mistakes? Brock Purdy was making mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake. And if you really want to talk about, some people want to blame Kyle Shanahan too, but honestly, I'm not lying to you. I saw adjustments in the second half. They were playing better scheme-wise in the second half. So I'm not, first half, yeah, Kyle Shanahan didn't draw up a really great game in the first half. In the second half, I actually thought he drew up a pretty good game in the second half. And it was Brock Purdy that just couldn't execute. It was Brock Purdy making these bad decisions left and right. I have never seen Brock Purdy. I've seen Brock Purdy in playoff games. I've seen Brock Purdy in the Super Bowl, really high pressured situations. Expectations are super high, and I've seen him perform. I've seen him perform well enough to be like, he played really fucking well in that playoff game. He played really well in that Super Bowl. Hey, he played really well in this situation against the Ravens. The Ravens just made amazing plays by tipping the ball in the air and getting those interceptions. This one, though, holy crap, it's almost as if he manifested Nathan Peterman in this situation. I really couldn't understand that. I've never seen Brock Purdy this way. I've never seen Brock Purdy like that. Again, it was as if he had a concussion. It was as if he had a concussion, and I cannot explain it because I've never seen Brock Purdy play like that. Do I now give up on Brock Purdy and I think Brock Purdy sucks or whatever? No, I don't. I think everyone's allowed to have their worst game. Josh Allen had 9 for 30 not too long ago, throwing shit passes. You're allowed to have the worst game ever. But what matters is the trend. Is he trending? Is it trending towards that kind of situation? Like, is the next game where he play against the Cowboys, is he going to play just as bad as that? Or is he going to be the old Brock Purdy that we know? That's what matters here. Is this just can't be a trend from Brock Purdy. Everyone's allowed to have a bad game, especially, and this is not an excuse because clearly I just got done blaming Brock Purdy. It was his fault. But especially when your wide receivers are 2 rookies and Chris Conley. So, yeah, Brock Purdy has an uphill battle to climb. But if he wants $60 million a year, if he wants 65 or whatever it is for a quarterback these days, he needs to show that he can take care of the ball. He can show that he could take the sack when he has to, that he could throw it out of bounds when he has to, and not force it into double coverage twice very bad. Not even giving the defender an opportunity to catch the ball. They were just terrible balls. And he underthrew. I even said it during the game. He underthrew Cowing. If he got him in stride, that would have been a touchdown. Then there was another one where Kittle had a wheel route underneath, whatever, and it was underthrown for Kittle. It was a terrible, terrible, terrible game for Brock Purdy. He got an F. There was nothing I liked about Brock Purdy in that game. There wasn't one thing. I'm not lying. You want to say, hey, he had that great pass, to Kittle, and he had that great pass to Cowing, but those were underthrown. There's nothing I liked about Brock Purdy's performance, and I expected better from him, even if he has all these wide receivers issues. I've seen Brock Purdy play better than this. I have. So, Papa J in the house. Don't worry, Kyle will make Braille no one wide receiver. I mean, they had to play. I understand once Ayuk went out, Debo's gone. They have to still run like 4 wide receivers, and the 4 wide receivers are left are what? Chris Conley, Ricky Pearsall, Cowing, and Ronnie Bell. So you're going to see Ronnie Bell on the field regardless with those 2 wide receivers out. I just don't like the fact that he decided to throw to Ronnie Bell with anticipation. That's another thing I want to point out is that he threw to a wide receiver who's obviously been struggling, and you haven't been passing it to him a lot, especially in practice. From what I haven't heard anything about Ronnie Bell being great in practice, connection with Brock Purdy being that connection at all being good. I have not heard anything like that. And for him to throw to Ronnie Bell in that situation with anticipation and knowing what Ronnie Bell constantly does, for him to do that blows my mind. It really does. Like, I understand that you want to have faith. You gotta love your teammates. You gotta show your teammates support. You gotta be like, hey, I'm gonna throw this guy the ball. But to throw it to him, and I understand the defender had the outside and Ronnie Bell had the inside. So if he threw it way like where Ronnie Bell can catch it, because I think that's what was happening there. I think Brock Purdy expected him to keep going post with the defender, but Brock Purdy threw it more inside, more like into the chest, so that the defender behind him couldn't exactly make an interception, and Ronnie Bell would be able to catch it with his chest or front body, really fight for it. So I do think the ball he threw, if Ronnie Bell ran that route that Brock Purdy anticipated, I think it would give Ronnie Bell an opportunity to catch that ball. I just don't think that you should put your faith in Ronnie Bell in that situation. It's just not. It was not a good look. It's not a good look. Yeah, he played terrible. He played terrible, and that's why I'm grilling him. I want to make sure, especially for someone like me, who constantly talks good about Brock Purdy, constantly talks how amazing he is. I have to drill him for this, and it hurts. It sucks because that's my guy. I've never bought a jersey before in my life, and I've actually considered buying his jersey. That's how much I like this guy and how much I believe in him. I do believe this is not the Brock Purdy we saw. I do believe that Brock Purdy can overcome this. I do believe that Brock Purdy can play better against the Cowboys and will play better against the Cowboys, because I don't think this is going to be a trend. But if he plays bad and people watch my lives and they want to see my analysis, I got to be honest. And my honest opinion is he was the catalyst to our loss. The defense honestly played great. Special teams wasn't fantastic, but hey, they weren't as terrible as we're used to seeing them. I really feel like the defense brought it and did their job. I thought the offense was the issue. And some people want to say, like, okay, we couldn't get any run games, but there's one play that bothers me of Jordan Mason. And this is a small complaint because for the most part, Jordan Mason didn't really exactly have any holes. But there's a very particular play. You can go watch it if you want. And I can't remember which one it is. Right before Brock Purdy threw an interception, and I want to say it was his second one. I don't remember which one it was. It was the one in the end zone, double covered. McKivitz allowed the defender to hit his hand. That interception, right before that, Mason cut to the left because he didn't trust George Kittle or the tight end to come around in time, to motion up in time to block that defender in the hole to the right. If you go back and watch that run, you'll see that the tight end is cutting into that hole to block the linebacker, and there's a wide open gap for a touchdown. Mason completely stops and he decides to cut left when all the defenders are coming in from that left side. So I won't forget that. I remember seeing the game like, okay, I got to rewatch that video because that looked like a wide open gap to me. So even if the tight end didn't get there in time, almost to that hole, there was 3-4 guys to his left compared to the one guy to his right. That was a terrible read by Jordan Mason. It was a terrible read on that run. And so, but again, the catalyst to this loss was Brock Purdy. And if he wants $60 million, he needs to not make this a trend. Okay. And we're going to talk about, so I'm going to go ahead and drop that now and get enough. I talked for 15 minutes straight about how bad Brock Purdy was. And I hope that got my point across just how bad he was and that I cannot defend it. But I do believe in him still. And I do believe that he will play better next game. And some people, and I want to say one more thing before I do this. I want to say one more thing. A lot of people are saying that Brock Purdy is held to this high standard. And he is. He's held to a high standard. He really is. And like, is it fair? Yes. Yes, it is. The man's going to get $60 million next year. This is the year to prove himself. If there's any year to be held to a high standard, it's contract year. And in this year, he needs to be held to a higher standard. So yes, I do believe. I don't know what I think I saw like 2 content creators saying like we hold him too high of a standard. No, we don't. We do not. He's supposed to be the franchise quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. If he plays well and he's held to that standard and he actually lives up to that standard, he gets $60 million a year. So yes, he deserves to be held on this pedestal, held to a certain standard, regardless of his wide receivers. Because even if you have bad wide receivers, even if you have bad tight ends, you are the one still releasing the ball from your hand. You're the one deciding to throw it into double coverage. You are the one deciding to throw anticipation to a wide receiver you barely even throw the ball to. If Brock Purdy had just kept the ball, took some sacks, threw the ball out of bounds and stuff, I could say today, I could be like, there's nobody open. There's no one open. Last in separation, last in yak, no Ayuk, no Debo, no Juwan Jennings. I could say that right now. But I can't now because he decided to throw the ball. He decided to put the ball in danger. There's nothing I can say to defend that. Once you release the ball from your hand, it is your responsibility. All right, Papa J's got something to say, and I'm gonna let him say what he needs to say. That's exactly how Kyle makes Bell number 1 receiver. That's exactly why the Chiefs were doubling him. The Chiefs now have Kyle's weaknesses. I don't know if they were going. I thought they were covering Kittle more than they were covering Ronnie Bell. But it does seem that Ronnie Bell. It does seem like Kyle is kind of drawing up plays for him because I can't imagine Brock Purdy throwing that interception where he threw that ball to Ronnie Bell and it being, oh, I just believe in him on this read. I feel like that was like the read and like maybe Kyle Shanahan told him to throw it to that guy. I don't know. That is all assumptions from here. But Papa J, I don't know if you're here for this, but I think Kyle Shanahan called a way better game in the second half. I actually thought he played pretty good in the second half. I was actually a lot more satisfied with Kyle's play calling in the second half. First half was atrocious. Second half, he adjusted. I thought he played better. It was just Brock Purdy playing terrible. Just outright bad. So, because I saw this, you said 50% Brock, 50% Kyle. I think it is 90% Brock. If you want to go head coach to Kyle Shanahan tandem, I think it's a significantly more Brock Purdy than it is Kyle. Because I thought Kyle actually adjusted the second half. You can disagree with me on that. That's fine. But I actually thought he played, as a play caller, I thought he did a lot better in the second half. I saw that clip that we're talking about. That was a horrible choice. But yeah, it does. Running backs do have to have a responsibility for finding the right hole. And sometimes they make a mistake. And that's what Mason did in that situation. He decided to cut left, not waiting for the tight end to come into that hole to stop the linebacker from blocking. Because there was a fucking touchdown in front of him. And I saw Baldy's breakdown of that. And I don't know why he didn't bring that up. I don't know why he didn't talk about that. because you can clearly see it. It's not like I'm making it up on top of my head. You can clearly see that there was a wide open hole for a touchdown there, or at least the 1 yard line. So if Kittle or whoever that tight end was, I don't remember who it was, didn't block, then he probably would have been stopped at like the 1 yard line. Terrible. And I can see where if you want to blame Kyle, you want to give him 50, you want to give Brock 50, but I personally am not going to do that. I personally liked his play calling in the second half. It was just Brock who just constantly was just snowballing. I still believe in Brock. He'll be fine. I'm just not sure that Kyle can take him to the next level, though. Kyle seems to have that effect with QBs. He can only take them so far. I'm gonna avoid. I understand, like, I can't defend much because Kyle is like 0-5 against the Chiefs, and it seemed like the end of the world. But I thought Kyle played a lot better in the second half, and I've seen Kyle take Matt Ryan and turn him into an MVP. You know, I've seen him win games with Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't think he's a QB whisperer, but I do think he can take someone's talent, wherever they can do, and put them in the best situation. I do believe that, but I don't think Kyle is a QB whisperer. I think he just draws up plays, and the QB is what he is. So, no, this is not pre-recorded. I'm just going on a rant because I need to get my point out. Same. Matt was already established, but he's never been MVP. He never played that good. Never played that well. And if you think that, then you're saying that Brock Purdy is not as good as Matt Ryan. And if Brock Purdy is not as good as Matt Ryan in the 2010s right now, then he's not a franchise quarterback. So it's either you're saying Brock Purdy's not that good, or he is just that good, or Kyle Shanahan is just bad. Either way, you're saying one thing or the other. And I don't think Kyle is as bad as everything is unfolding and unraveling for Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy. Everything's just unraveling for him right now. So all the criticism, of course, Kyle Shanahan's head coach, he's got to take count. He's the top echelon of everything in charge, so he's going to get a lot of blame. A lot of people are going to look at him. But again, I do not think this loss, 110%, I do not think the majority of this loss, I do not think half of this loss is on Kyle. This is a Purdy game. This was a Purdy loss. It was him. It was him. Yeah, it was him. Yeah, unless Kyle is in his ear telling him, hey, when you go play action, throw it to this guy no matter what. Unless he's in his ear saying, hey, throw it to Ronnie Bell in the post right here no matter what. That is the only thing. When Brock Purdy got his hand smacked by the defender and he threw it into double coverage, which would have been an interception anyway, Kyle Shanahan would have to tell Brock Purdy, throw it to him no matter what. That's what I feel like would have to have happened for me to blame Kyle Shanahan. But those 3 interceptions are 110% on Brock Purdy. 110%. And yeah, Kyle needs to call a better game. Kyle needs to do better. You're not wrong. He needs to do better. But not in the way that everyone is attacking him for and throwing him to the ground for and convicting him of. I don't think it's that deep, but I do believe majority it goes to Brock. Where is Papa J's chat messages then? He's right here. What are you talking about? He's talking. No, what I'm trying to say is that Matt Ryan's already got that good when he played with Kyle. Jimmy G reached just a certain point where he fell off. Brock Purdy has natural talent in Kyle Kidd. Yeah. So have we reached? So are you saying have we reached Purdy's ceiling? And then from here on in, trying to push him any further is just going to make him worse? Like you're putting too much on Brock Purdy's plate? Is that what you're saying? Like there's just too much being handed to Brock Purdy at this moment? Maybe. Is he? It does seem with that thought process, it does seem like he's putting a lot more on Brock this year. It does seem like there's a lot more responsibility on Brock. It's almost as if, hey, you want to earn that contract? Here's more responsibility. That's what it does seem like that. It does seem like this offense is completely different. The way they're using Brock Purdy is completely different. So, yeah, that's crazy to me. That's crazy. It's just, I still believe in Brock. I love Brock. I still think he could become great. I still think he's elite. Every quarterback has designed to have a bad game. I still think he's elite. I think this just was his bad game, regardless of the receivers out. So the issue is having to do with timing routes and anticipatory throws to wide receiver. He's not all that comfortable with. Yes, I agree with 100%. He's not. He hasn't been practicing with his receivers. He hasn't been throwing to him consistently, so that could become an issue. I even said that in a live prior. I even said to a live prior that anticipation throws are going to be a problem in this game with Ricky Pearsall. I didn't know Ayuk was going to get hurt, and I didn't know Debo was sick. But I even said it in a live. I was like, hey, Brock Purdy is going to have problems throwing to Ricky Pearsall because he hasn't been throwing it too much. There's going to be anticipatory throws that are going to be absolutely terrible. He's going to overthrow him, underthrow him. It's going to happen because Brock Purdy is that kind of guy. He expects you to be somewhere when he throws the ball. And that's how I thought with Pearsall. Well, guess what? He had to do that with Cowan. He had to do that with Connolly. He had to do that with Ronnie Bell. So, and that was the death of him. He couldn't, and I do agree, Scott, you make a great point. He had receivers out there that he wanted to trust. He forced the trust and threw the ball. That's what happened. He threw the ball to people like, hey, I just got to believe that he's going to be at the right spot, and this is what's going to happen. So, and Kyle can take him only so far. Today, all Commanders themselves. Yeah, it was close, man. It was close. I believe in Brock. I'm just not believing in Kyle anymore. I mean, losing to the Chiefs 0-5 times, man. I know where you're coming from. I know where the how do I put this? The faith in Kyle Shanahan and everything he's bragged to be when we first got him is just slowly falling away. It's becoming harder and harder to defend someone especially this year in particular, it's becoming harder because it seems that there's no change. There's this constant inconsistency. Oh my God, my tonsils are starting to swell. All right. So yeah, I agree that fuck. Hold on, I'll be right back. Oh shit. I'm right there, sorry. Hold on. I'll be right there, hold on. Oh, I'm back. I'm back. Whew. Sorry, I had to gargle because tonsil, and if you have tonsil like issues like I do, salt and water does fantastic. It helps. It does. I did like a minor session so that way I can run back here real quick. Yeah, I guess I'll transition to the next thing I wanted to talk about, which is some people are down and out. They think this team's not making the playoffs, which I don't believe that part. Okay, maybe not Super Bowl contenders. I understand that 110%. But to say we're not playoff people is kind of crazy. Just that is taking it too far, and I'll explain. But first, Sam has a comment. 49ers need Saleh. I said the same thing during the live when I watched the game. I don't think Saleh was the issue. I was like, we need Saleh. I did say that during the live, but now that I think about it, in that game against the Kansas City Chiefs, it was not the defense's fault. The defense actually played pretty well if you really think about it. If you go back and watch the highlights of that game, the defense actually, for the most part, did their job. So, yeah, I still want Saleh. I still think Saleh would be better, and I beg him to come back. That would be awesome if he did. But if you want to say we need Saleh, 49ers need Saleh based on that game, like as an indictment on the defense, it was not. It was 100% was not. That was a Brock Purdy game. That was a Brock Purdy loss. And I don't usually put wins and losses on a quarterback, but I tell you what, that was atrocious. That was some of the worst play. That was the worst game he has ever played. I'm pretty sure at any point of his life. I'm pretty sure. I don't have a problem losing the Chiefs because that was expected. I have a huge problem losing the Chiefs. Even if I would even say that I was expecting to lose. I was actually expecting it to be competitive. I was actually expecting Brock Purdy to fight. I expected a possible overtime, losing close if possible. I expected it to be competitive. I expected Brock Purdy to take a step. I expected Brock Purdy to be ready for this game. I truly was. Even if, because Kyle Shanahan struggles to beat Steve Spagnuolo, I get that. And I thought, I was like, okay, it's going to be a Kyle thing. But I didn't think it was a Kyle thing. I thought it was more of a Brock Purdy thing. I expected us to fight. I expected us to actually have a chance to win. That didn't happen. That did not happen. Yeah. That's all I can really say about that. Sam says Chiefs versus Ravens, Lions versus Packers championship. Nah, I still got the 49ers still have the Packers number. So maybe a Lions versus 49ers NFC championship again. Maybe. Here's why I think we're still a playoff team. Because you still have to beat the division to go into the playoffs. And right now, the playoffs between the whole division, between Seahawks, Cardinals, and Rams, it is still a race. Yeah, we're third in division. We were just in first before this week. So we just have to beat the division, regardless if that makes us the fourth seed. Because beating the division puts you in the fourth seed, not the seventh seed, because that's the extra team. But even if we were not even first in the division, I feel like we would take that seventh seed in the as third in division. I do not think we're going to be number one seed. I do not think we're number two. I do not think we're number three. We just have to beat the Seahawks. We just have to beat the Cardinals. We just have to beat the Rams. Those are the three teams we got to beat, and we're in the playoffs. So I'm not concerned about us being good enough to go to the playoffs. I'm concerned is, once we get to the playoffs, can we be competitive with the Lions? Can we be competitive with the Packers? Well, history says that we would. Can we be competitive with whatever team ends up going into the playoffs? So far, the teams that I feel like our team would struggle against is, I don't even think Green Bay. I feel like Green Bay is overrated as shit. You guys may want to disagree with me on that, but I think they're overrated as fuck. I think their head coach is just a mastermind. I think their head coach, Matt LaFleur, is absolutely a stud. Okay. And I don't think Jordan Love is that good, and I'm standing by that. I still stand by Jordan Love not being that good. But yeah, I still think that the 49ers can make the playoffs. I still think the 49ers can beat teams in the playoffs. It's just once they run into the Lions, the Vikings, who's another scary team in the NFL. Even the Commanders might be scary. If Jaden Daniels comes back, continues to perform the way he's doing, who else would I be afraid of in the playoffs that I feel like would be in the NFC? The Vikings already said, the Lions, so pretty much the NFC North. I think we can still beat the Packers. You guys give me some teams. I can't really think of any teams right now. What I have a problem with is the style of loss that we face because of Kyle's overcomplicated scheme. Again, it just comes down to fundamental football, which is not to be taught in this team. I do think we get away from predictable plays. Yes, 110%. There's predictable situations where it's you are overthinking this situation entirely. And he did that in the first half. There was moments where I was what are you doing? This is the moment. In the second half, I didn't feel that way. I felt like, okay, he's doing everything I expected him to do. He's doing some fun things, and they're succeeding. I actually thought in the second half, I thought there was a lot more going on than we realized. The first half, yes, it was atrocious. There was moments where I'm like, what are you doing? Take the predictable play here. I was like, what are you doing? But yes, I agree. There's overcomplicated situations. There's overthinking situations where the scheme is like, you don't need to be doing that. You don't need to be giving someone to motion to the left for this one play. You don't need to do just way too much, man. It's way too much. I agree. I agree. There's just too much over complications in schemes where it's like you don't have the personnel to be doing stuff like that. You don't have, especially this offensive line. Even though the offensive line, I don't think played great. I don't think they were the catalyst to our loss. 49ers would definitely make the playoffs, but the Seahawks 49ers wild card game, we beat the Seahawks. I'm not concerned about beating the Seahawks at all. Jordan Love's overrated. Yes, 110%. He's overrated, dude. He's overrated. Rams, Seahawks, Rams. I think we could beat them all. Right now, I'm afraid of the Rams. I wouldn't be, man. Yeah, we lost to them because we allowed a comeback, but I think that was us. That was us. I'm not afraid of the team themselves as if we face them and they're going to, like if we went to the playoffs against the Rams, the only thing I would fear is just what we've been doing all year, which is allowing teams to come back way more significantly than per usual. Because, we allow comebacks and stuff like that, but against the Rams, that was brutal. Against the Cardinals, that was brutal. Okay, there's no adjustments when it got worse with the comebacks. So my only concern right now with the team heading into playoffs against such as the Rams, like you said, like you're afraid. It's not like I'm afraid of the Rams. I'm afraid of us allowing a comeback. I'm afraid of us suddenly in the second half completely falling apart. And that is definitely that is something you could blame on Kyle Shanahan because that is a culture thing. That is a schematic thing. If you have the lead and you are dominating offense and suddenly in the third and fourth quarter, your offense is not doing shit, your defense is afraid they're going to let this game slip, that is a culture thing. It's not necessarily a thing of where they're just like the Cardinals were doing something completely different and they were just dominating. It's not like the Rams were doing something completely different and they started dominating. It was as if they just continue to do the same shit, knowing that the 49ers were going to play scared in the third and fourth quarter. That is a culture thing. That is the mindset you give to your players. And it kind of comes back to Robert Saleh in a way where Robert Saleh never, for once, ever I've ever seen has never looked at the defense and said, all right, we're going to lose this game. Oh, we got to hold this lead. No, Robert Saleh brought a culture. He brought a vibe. He brought hey, man, we're not losing this game, okay? We got this. It's a culture thing. So that's one thing you can blame Kyle Shanahan for. It's his culture. That is something that's his fault. So you got to look at it and be like, hey, why are we playing scared? Why are we playing this way? If we lose, and again, before I continue, the next thing I want to talk about, just comment real quick. Again, the playoffs are not impossible. I still believe we're going to the playoffs. I still think it's a realistic situation. So anybody saying we're not a playoff team, that's crazy. That's crazy to me. I think that's out of line. To say we're Super Bowl team, though, yes, that is too far. I wouldn't say I do not think right as of right now thinking, hey, we're totally going to the Super Bowl. Or, hey, there's a good chance we're going to the Super Bowl. Or, hey, there's a good chance we're going to the NFC Championship game. None of that. There's no expectations anymore of that. That is gone. That's kaput. It's gone. All right? The only thing that matters right now is beating the division and getting to the playoffs, and that is a real expectation that I feel like we could meet. Now, what happens if we lose to the Cowboys? The Cowboys are in shambles. The Cowboys are pretty much, as of right now, almost in the same tier as us. I would say probably the same tier as us. And I still think we're better than the Cowboys in that tier. 110%. We should beat the Cowboys still. I still think it should be a confident game for the 49ers to go into to beat them because the Cowboys got worse in the offseason. They look worse this year. They look like absolute frauds. They're in shambles. Now, if we lose to this team, that would seriously drop us down from – that would take away my faith at that point of, hey, we're a playoffs team and we can win the Super Bowl. I think that if we get into the playoffs, Brock Purdy, the rest of the team can turn into something, and they can go to the NFC Championship. They can go to the Super Bowl once we get into the playoffs. I do have that belief, but it's not an expectation. My belief and my expectation to go into the playoffs would seriously be gone. It would dissipate. I can't say the word. It would be gone. Because losing to the Cowboys, losing to the Rams, and then losing to the Cardinals, that would be a statement game. That would be a statement loss. And at that point, do you start being sellers at that point? Because we're 3-5. We have come back from 3-5 before. After the bye, we're fantastic. Even if the Cowboys are coming off a bye, they're in shambles, man. And we are in desperation mode. They're in desperation mode, but they don't have answers. They have a shit running game. They have one wide receiver and a really good tight end. Let's not discount Ferguson. Ferguson is a stud tight end on the Cowboys. That tight end is fantastic. I don't want to hear someone say they just have one weapon. They have CeeDee Lamb and they have Ferguson. Ferguson is a great tight end. Okay. So don't say he's only got one weapon. He's got two for sure. Okay. He's got two solid weapons out there that are difference makers. Dak Prescott having to be one of them, making what, $65 million or whatever. I still think we should be favored to win this game. I still think we should beat the Cowboys. I still think the expectation at this point is no longer Super Bowl. It's no longer playoffs. It's no longer a championship game. It's no longer the Super Bowl. It is the playoffs. Sorry, I take that back. It is the playoffs. That is the expectation now. And that's what we got to worry about getting into is just the playoff situation. And not thinking too far ahead, like, oh my God, can we even make the NFC Championship game? Oh my God, can we make the Super Bowl? Like that shouldn't even be crossing our minds. We need to think about, okay, we are expected to make the playoffs, so let's go ahead and do that. I still love this team. I still believe in this team. I just said if we make the playoffs, we can hit the ground running and get some momentum and maybe actually start winning some games and go to the Super Bowl again. That is still a possibility. I still believe that. But belief and expectation are completely different things. They're two completely different things. I still believe in this team. I'm going to keep watching. I still believe we're going to beat the Cowboys. I believe us coming off a bye to face the Bucs, especially when the Bucs are missing two of their main wide receivers in Mike Evans and Chris Godwin for pretty much the entire year, the expectation, or at least against the 49ers in Week 10. I don't expect Mike Evans to come back. So there's still a road. There's still a road to the playoffs. There's still a belief there. So I told y'all make PTSD kicked in so bad. You didn't tell us anything. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Hey, Catherine, welcome to the stream. Yeah, man. I think how do I put this? How do I respond to that comment? Even if you told me that, hey, we're going to lose, and then you telling us that you have PTSD is not you telling us we're going to lose. I hope you didn't have the expectation that we were going to lose. I hope not. Or I hope that you didn't have that or be like, hey, that we're belief that we were going to lose. PTSD, yeah, it sucks. Losing sucks. It hurts. It's shocking. But believing that we would lose is, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't go that far. But yeah, it's sad. It's sad. It hurts. But if there's anything to look at here, the Chiefs are 6-0 for a reason. They're undefeated for a reason. They beat good teams this year. And they have little to no weapons at all. They're constantly defying this expectation. They're constantly defying the odds all the time. It's because they have Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. As long as they have Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, they should always be expected to have more of a chance to win. Even before we talked about the game, I had expectations that we were underdogs. I still believe that we could win. I still believe that we were going to win. I believe that it was going to be competitive. But realistically, the expectation should have been, hey, we're underdogs. And the Chiefs should win this game based on them having Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, the history. And like you said, your PTSD, you have that for reasons because we're constantly getting beat by them. But there still should have been a belief that we could still beat them in that situation. I'm just so tired of seeing that same team win. It's frustrating. Yeah, and I promise you, we're not the only team. We are not the only team that has PTSD. We are not the only team that's like, oh my God, why can't we beat this team? We're not the only one. The Ravens can't do it in the playoffs. The Bills can't do it in the playoffs. I mean, we are not the only team that's having this frustration, this bad games constantly against them. The Chiefs are just the New England Patriots of this era. They are just the top dog. They always have the answers. Everything goes right for them. They're just that team this era. And that happens every single year. There's always a team where there's a dominant team in that era where everything goes right for them. No matter what, they're always in it, regardless of the situation, losing players or not, they're always in it. Fuck, I've seen the New England Patriots be without Tom Brady and go 11-5 without him, with Matt Castle. The New England Patriots. Yeah, they didn't go to the playoffs, but they still went 11-5. They should have gotten to the playoffs with that team. And it's just sometimes there's just that one team every time. And the Chiefs are that team. The Chiefs are everybody's kryptonite. The Chiefs are all 31 teams' problem. I can't think of one team on top of my head that you could say, okay, that team's got the answers against Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. There's not one team. There was the Bengals that one time in the playoffs. That's as close as it gets, because after that, it got worse. And that's it. So I don't want to say that we need to start victimizing ourselves like, okay, we are just victims of the Chiefs. No, all 31 teams have been victims of Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. They're just that good. I understand, like, okay, in the Super Bowl, we lose to the Chiefs. Yeah, so does the rest of the AFC when they face them in the playoffs. The Chiefs are just that good. Now, we need to get past this game, get past our issues, and us beating this team would have been huge for our mental game. It would have been huge for us. And honestly, it would say a lot about us as a team if we beat them, because a lot of teams can't do it. But all we did was just lose to a team that shouldn't have been underdogs. They should have been the favorites of that game. They should be favorites of every single game they play. And for some reason, sometimes they're not. And I don't understand that. There isn't a single reason for you to tell me, hey, the Chiefs are going to be underdogs in this game realistically. There isn't a single game, even against the Ravens. There's nothing telling me, hey, this team, the Ravens, are totally going to destroy the Chiefs. Even though on paper, you look at the Ravens and then you look at the Chiefs, you're like, okay, Ravens should dominate the Chiefs. But when I think about the game, I still think the Kansas City Chiefs would beat the Ravens. Regardless. Niners were expected to lose this game. That even Vegas had to put up money favoring the 49ers so we can get some of that back. Yeah, it's just, I don't understand that. We should have went into this game as underdogs. I don't understand it. And anybody who took the bet is kind of dumb, because you shouldn't take that bet, especially when it says like there's no reason for you to say that we were not under. I don't understand that, dude. So, Papa J, I have seen two different psychiatrists since the Super Bowl loss for his depression. I don't know. I don't know about that. Tribe is the only reason why I saw two psychiatrists is because I saw Tribe had a face reveal. I thought that was funny. Sometimes I catch troll. That's all right, man. It's all right. It's all right. We're good. We're good. We're good. Yeah, we disagreed on some things. Got along. It's okay. Tribe. What you said about Tribe is not that bad. That's pretty lighthearted, especially if you guys talk shit on the reg. But yeah, it hurt. It really did hurt losing. I don't know if you guys saw my live when I was watching the game. It truly felt like my soul was getting its ass beat. I'm not even kidding. I felt exhausted every time something bad happened. Every time. I felt like I actually ran a marathon. After that game, I was physically exhausted. I cannot explain that. I've lost Super Bowls. We've lost Super Bowls in overtime to the Chiefs. That's fine. Us losing to the Super Bowl in 2019 with Jimmy Garoppolo, that sucked. And I think that's the worst. I think about that Super Bowl in particular really pisses me off because out of the 3 recent ones we lost, the ones with the Ravens, this one and the one in 2019, I think 2019 is the worst. 2019 is the one that haunts me the most. I hate talking about that one. The one in overtime, whatever. We fought, got into overtime, we did what we could. The one against the Ravens, we were going to lose that game regardless. Coming back was just a gift. The 2019 one should have been ours. Should have been ours and we choked. That one fucking hurts. That one hurts. This most recent one, not so much. That one, it was a hard-fought battle. It was a good game, and we lost that one. So, bang, bang, not a gang. Let's go. Bang, bang, still represent. So, all we have to do is focus on what is our expectation. And our expectation is to still make the playoffs. Our expectation is to beat the Cowboys. Our expectation is to still be competitive. The expectation isn't a top 10 team, but it's definitely a team between top 10 and top 20. It's definitely in the teens area. And even with these injuries, we are that team. I still have that expectation. If we beat the Chiefs, if we actually beat them, the expectation would have, how do I put this? It's kind of like, Papa J, you're kind of right when you say that we expected to lose. There was, I don't want to say expect because it sounds like when you say expect, it's like, hey, it's just going to happen when we put it that way. But I just feel like we could have won. There was a hope, there was a belief that we could have won that game. Realistically, we should have been underdogs in that game. And winning that game would have said a lot more than us losing. If we won the game, that would have said significantly more about the team. The expectations would have gone higher for the team. It would have been Super Bowl contenders. It would have just made us, it would have just given more expectation. Us losing the game, if anything, just clarified things. It just made things more realistic. Like, hey, there's your belief, but now here's the real part of the situation. You guys are falling apart. You guys have these injuries. And you guys struggle against the Chiefs. Like there's just this realization. It's just losing against the Chiefs should not mean the season is over. It should not have taken away your expectation prior to that game. All it did was just clarify where we were at. Losing to the Chiefs, losing to the Cowboys. Losing to the Cowboys would be a bigger statement, and it would take away expectations. It would be significantly worse and say a lot more about our team than losing to the Chiefs. That's so my big thing is we cannot lose to the Cowboys. We lose to the Cowboys, take away our expectations of a playoff team. Take away our expectations of a playoff game. Chiefs, again, I meant that in a greeting and grieving way. We are your dude. You're everybody's kryptonite. You're everyone's but Tom Brady's kryptonite. You're everyone's kryptonite. You are the top dog team where no matter the odds, I don't know if you hear about this when I talked about it because I literally just talked about it like maybe 10 minutes ago. You guys are the top dogs. You're everyone's kryptonite. No matter what happens to your team, you will always be in it as long as you have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. You will always be everyone's kryptonite as long as you have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. And I know Patrick Mahomes is not playing great this year, but he makes the plays that he has to. And that's what differentiates stats from reality. Yes, stats do say something. I hate when someone says that stats don't really mean anything. They do mean something. They're actually referred to when you talk about a good quarterback. You refer to stats. When someone's playing bad, you refer to stats. But when there's certain realizations, factors that you can point out that push those stats aside, not necessarily aside, but I hope you get what I'm saying this. Patrick Mahomes, unlike any other quarterback in the entire NFL, there's not one quarterback in the NFL I could think of, not Josh Allen, not Joe Burrow, not Lamar Jackson. Even if Patrick Mahomes can play fucking terrible for 3 whole quarters, he will make the plays that he has to in the fourth quarter. He will always make the plays that he has to, no matter what. And that's what differentiates him from other quarterbacks in the league. Stats mean something. They do. And I fucking hate it when people say they doesn't. It's so dumb. Unless they have a factor that proves that stat is, okay, those stats are bullshit. As in, they're not explaining how Patrick Mahomes is making the right plays at the right moments at the right time. Always. To make sure their team's always in it. Their defense can play fucking terrible next week. Right? Patrick Mahomes will suddenly be the best quarterback you've ever seen. Okay, their defense can play elite, allowing only 3 points. Patrick Mahomes will win the game by having one last drive at the very end after throwing 5 interceptions, 1 for 10. It don't matter. At the end of the game, he'll get that team down the field for a field goal and they will score and win 6-3. If their defense plays like shit and just like he's been playing all year, Patrick Mahomes will find a way to score 30 points. That's what is different from other quarterbacks. And so Patrick Mahomes is everybody's kryptonite. So is Andy Reid. And they're the empire. They are the New England Patriots of this era. And everyone, like 49ers fans, everybody else, all 31 teams have to accept that. And it's us against them. And I know a lot of 49ers fans and stuff like that may not like what I'm saying, may disagree with what I'm saying because I'm glazing the shit out of the Chiefs, but I'm just being realistic. I'm being real. Every year, there is a team, there is a squad, there is a dominant empire team. There's always a top dog quarterback. Right now, and I never thought this would see, we're getting back-to-back GOATs. Before Tom Brady, it was Joe Montana. After Tom Brady, it's Patrick Mahomes. We're getting back-to-back GOATs. And Patrick Mahomes is that guy. He's the top dog. And we have to always go into a game, every single team, no matter who it is, needs to go into the game thinking that the Chiefs are not the underdogs and that they should win this game. They should know that they're the guys, the favorites, every time. They need to do that. Like, be on your toes from the first quarter all the way to the last. Always. I expect the Cowboys to win 13-14. And I still got to win that game, dude. I still think, I think we're going to score more points than that. I think it's going to be like, I guess, I don't want to make a prediction now, but just to give you on top of my head what I'm thinking, them coming off a bye should make them better, theoretically. I'd say close to that, probably like 2017, maybe. 27. It's not going to be as dominant as last year, for sure. It's not going to be as dominant as last year, especially with most likely Debo somehow getting pneumonia. There's no way he's going to come back the next week. His lungs were filled with fluid. Something like that takes recovery. It's not as simple as just taking the liquid out and he's good. Nah, that shit's fucked up. It's going to take him a while to recover. I don't expect him to play next week against the Cowboys. I expect Juwan Jennings to play. I've heard he's supposed to play. And obviously, Ayuk's gone. Well, guess what, Brock Purdy? You're about to have a full week with Juwan Jennings, because I heard he's back. Chris Connolly. We need Ricky Pearsall to suddenly do something that no player has ever done, which is suddenly just be good in 2 weeks with no training camp, no preseason, and no season games. Jacob Cowling, we need that connection to somehow appear. This is it for Brock Purdy. If Brock Purdy can just get his shit together against the Cowboys, against the Bucks, and continue on, that's fine. Against the Chiefs, those are the Chiefs, man. They're just the Chiefs. And if we play again in the Super Bowl, yeah, it's going in the back of our minds as fans. It's going in the back of minds of the players. But you know what? They're going to have to get over that. The team that plays them in the Super Bowl, if the Chiefs go to the Super Bowl, they're going to have that in the back of their minds. No matter what. They're going to have the back of their minds that Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes is going to get it done. So I'm not trying to say the Kansas City Chiefs game is an outlier, but it's an outlier for Brock Purdy. It's a bad game. We lost that game because of Brock Purdy, 110%. 110%. But that's not an indictment of who he is as a quarterback. Until I see him play like that consistently from Cowboys to Bucks, etc., we still are in games. We're still the 49ers. We're still a team that can come back and be dominant again. Especially, and I'm not trying to we're nothing without CMC. We potentially could have CMC back. Dre Greenlaw back in week 13. We're getting a lot of players back, except for Ayuk for sure, and Hargrave, two major ones. We should be relatively healthy after the bye. Players should start coming back, and hopefully we can get back to form, and we're ready for the playoffs. Because everything can change the moment we enter the playoffs. Everything can change. Especially when we're getting all these players back. And hope to God, fucking football gods, please, Lord. Please, football gods, let Dre Greenlaw be the same player that he was, and that this injury of his Achilles was not career-ending. Please, God. Please, God. Won a Super Bowl with one. Yeah, he won with one leg, dude. He won with one leg. He scored 30-plus points on one leg. That's fucking crazy, dude. He makes the plays he has to, yeah. Chiefs are definitely the big kahuna. So us beating them would have said a lot more than us just losing to them. We were the underdogs. Let's be real. I'll be right back. I gotta go more salt. Oh. Sorry about that. I'm back. So I just talked for a whole hour. I'm actually expecting to talk for maybe 30 minutes about the 49ers, Brock Purdy, and us going to the playoffs potentially. I actually thought that was going to be a 30-minute conversation. I was going to be done, but no, I had a lot to say. Baba J had a lot to say. We got a couple Chiefs fans in here. And you guys deserve the W. You guys are the top dogs, man. I respect it. I'm not a hater. I don't, usually get upset when we lose and then someone comes in and starts hating. You guys beat us. You beat us. There's nothing we can really say. There's nothing really to get upset about. We lost. That's how I look at it. Can it hurt sometimes? Yeah, it can hurt. It can hurt. But the truth hurts sometimes. The truth can hurt. The truth can hurt sometimes, and that's just how it is. And you cannot blame a fan for talking shit or anything like that. You can if they start harassing you and start really pushing it. That's just harassment at that point. But if someone says something like "we're your kryptonite" or "you guys suck" or whatever, you beat us. You can say what the fuck you want. And the truth hurts. And I feel like I'm in the boat with a lot of other 49ers fans when I say that, yeah. We suck. I don't think there's a single 49ers fan that's like, fuck you, how dare you say that? How dare you? I don't think there's a single 49ers fan that's like that right now. We are way too busy beating ourselves up right now. We are way too busy being like, fuck that guy on our team. We're way too busy doing that to ourselves. No. No. I swear to God, if we don't trade for Myles Garrett, if he's actually available, and I hear that Myles Garrett went to the Cowboys for a first and like a third, I'll be so angry, dude. Because we need to get rid of all of our first round draft picks. Give them 3 of them for Myles Garrett. Give them 3 first rounders. I don't give a fuck. Myles Garrett is, I think TJ Watt is better than him right now, but Myles Garrett is definitely second. Without, and no matter how you look at it, they're Myles Garrett and TJ Watt. Okay. Myles Garrett next to Nick Bosa for once. We've always been needing someone next to Nick Bosa for like, since we signed the motherfucker, since we've lost, what's his name? I can't think of his name. Ford. I think, I can't remember his first name, but Ford. And he broke down like a Ford and his knees completely fell apart. Before his knees fell apart and broke down like a Ford, he was fantastic next to Bosa. He was fantastic. But after that, we've been trying to get someone across from him that can give us that elite pass rush. Myles Garrett next to Nick Bosa. I don't give a fuck if it's cap issues. I don't care. If we get Myles Garrett, that would change so much for the team. Morale would immediately skyrocket. The fans would immediately be revitalized, re-energized, ready to go, getting super excited for the Cowboys game. And if we see Myles Garrett go to the Cowboys, the team I hate the most with every fiber of my being, I will lose my mind. That would sit like, what are the Cowboys doing? They're not going to playoffs. They're not good. Why are you trading for a pass rusher? You got no hope. Okay, that's how I look at the Cowboys. That's why if we lose to the Cowboys, oh my God, I do not believe in the Cowboys. I don't think they're going to the playoffs. So if we lose to them, how can I possibly say we can go to playoffs regardless of beating the Seahawks, Cardinals, and Rams? Because that's theoretically, that's all we have to beat to go into the playoffs. But even if we made the playoffs, I'm like, yeah, but we lost the fucking Cowboys. We lost to the Cowboys. How am I supposed to believe in this team in the playoffs? So, yeah. And the season were to end right now, I would bet Minnesota versus Detroit in the NFC Championship game and Chiefs versus Texans in the AFC Championship. Got any predictions? I like that. Minnesota at Detroit. I mean, they're the 2 best NFC champions. They were fighting neck to neck. Yeah, I would get on board with Minnesota and Detroit. If not Detroit, and I don't want to say 49ers, I would have to say Packers after that, Detroit and Packers. I definitely got the Lions going in the NFC Championship game, without a doubt. The Minnesota Vikings, they kind of, to some people who watch the Wolfie and Poggy show, I had Minnesota over Lions, but after watching that Lions versus Minnesota game, their weakness is, and Sam Darnold has been balling, but their weakness is Sam Darnold. And Jared Goff is better than Sam Darnold. So if I had to pick one between Lions and Minnesota, I'm going to pick the Lions over Minnesota in that situation. Because it showed what Sam Darnold was in that game against the Lions. So I was proven wrong there. So I'll definitely have the Lions there. If not the Lions, either going to be Minnesota or the Packers. If I can't pick the 49ers, of course. I can't pick the 49ers. As for the AFC, dude, I just got the Chiefs, man. I got the Chiefs going to the Super Bowl. And the people are going to meet. It could be the Ravens. It could be. I don't believe in the Bills as much as other people do. They have holes. Bengals are the only ones proven to beat the Chiefs, but they're not good at all. I don't even think they're going to make the playoffs. Man, I guess it's either Texans, like you said, Texans. What was the other team I picked? Chiefs, Texans, and Ravens. Those are the 3 teams I got for the AFC. NFC, I got Minnesota, Packers, and Lions if I can't pick the 49ers, because I would always pick the 49ers because I believe that we can, especially with players coming back, we could do some damage. We can come back and we can play good. So we just got to get in the playoffs, because we all know that some teams in the playoffs can't function. They're not good. A la Lamar Jackson. Not good in the playoffs. Completely different team. He sucks. It's terrible. Texans were fantastic. So CJ Stroud was amazing. He looks human in the playoffs. So playoffs are a different beast, can make a team a different beast. It can make the 49ers a different beast. They've been here many times, so I still think the 49ers can go there, but I don't think the expectation and belief are different things. I believe we can go to the NFC Championship game. I believe we can still go to the Super Bowl because the playoffs is a different breed, but the expectation is definitely not NFC Championship. It is definitely not Super Bowl. Cowboys or Bengals are in the mix, and Browns want at least a backup QB. The Browns are done, dude. And first, so maybe the Niners should give Josh Dobbs and 2 firsts. I'd do it. 110%. Hey, man, here's Joshua Dobbs. Hey, you know what? We'll throw in an extra player. Here's Joshua Dobbs and Ronnie Bell. It's really sweet in the pot. Since they got rid of Amari Cooper, they need a younger wide receiver. And guess what? Ronnie Bell's pretty young. I'm pretty sure he's under 25. He's up and coming, man. He's up and coming. I'm pretty sure Kyle can vouch for that. Ronnie Bell, Joshua Dobbs, 2 firsts, and a bag of chips for Myles Garrett. That's how I see it. Let's do that. Falcons might be the top 5 for the playoffs. I think the Falcons are – they're one of those teams where they either play dominant, they'll play great, or they'll just won't play good at all. Or – I don't want to put it that way either. I don't know. I just don't believe in the Falcons. How about I just put it that? I don't believe in the Falcons. I don't think they can – I don't think they got the oomph to win playoff games. I don't think they have the oomph to be a dominant team or even make the playoffs. I like Kirk Cousins, but I don't think he's the same. That offense is funky. It's not as good as I thought it was going to be this year. Same thing for the defense. I'm pretty sure a lot of people could say that too. Like the expectations I had for the Falcons were a lot better than the way they're playing right now. A lot better. So QB was their only hole in the and apparently offensive coordinator. My biggest issue with the Falcons was coaching. Was they have the weapons, they have Kirk, who's you can easily argue, no matter what, is a mid QB, and you can win playoff games with a mid QB. All right. He's a mid at worst QB, right? Last year he was on an MVP run almost before he tore his Achilles. What I was thinking was if you got a new head coach, regardless in Raheem Morris and offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators, you have the whole new culture and new staff. That's going to matter. Can they use Drake London? Can they use Kyle Pitts? Can they use Bijan Robinson? Can they use Kirk Cousins? Can they do these things? Can they have an elite defense? And I think the head coach, and just like in my expectations for them, they haven't lived up to that. They haven't lived up to what I actually thought the Falcons were going to be. My biggest concern was coaching, and I feel like that's the issue. I feel like the offensive coordinator is not good. I think their defense and coordinator is not that great. I think they have holes as coaching. And can they get better? Yes, of course, because Raheem Morris is a new coach. Who's your offensive coordinator? I think they got a new offensive coordinator as well. Correct me if I'm wrong with that. I'm not going to research it. I'm just going to say that. Having a new head coach, especially a first-time head coach, the first year usually is not going to be that good. And that was my concern, and I feel like that's the issue with the Falcons, is they haven't established the culture enough yet. Raheem Morris hasn't got his feet wet enough. He needs more time. It's just like in a quarterback. It's like, hey, you love the quarterback, you love the potential, but most of the time, they need time to get better, to adapt to this new role of theirs. And that's the same thing with head coaches, man. They need to adapt, and it's going to take them time. So that's how I feel about the Falcons. They need solid. I think every struggling defense, I think every defensive coordinator right now should be fired for Robert Saleh, not named Steve Spagnuolo, and there's another defensive coordinator that's like absolute stud. I can't. There's another one, but there's like maybe 28 teams, 27 teams should fire the defensive coordinator for Robert Saleh right now. He's that good. He's good. Safeties are the best in the league right now. Oh, the Falcons safeties are the best in the league. I can see that. Bates and Simmons. I had like a moment there. Um, yeah, so that's me bitching about the Brock. It's his fault we lost. It was not good. I don't think we're out of the playoffs. Of course, we're still in it. I still believe in the team itself. The expectations, just not NFC Championship, just not Super Bowl. Now let's go ahead and talk about injuries real quick. This live is going over an hour, but I need to put everything out there. I need to talk about everything regardless of an hour. My job can fucking wait. I need to bring this out there. Injuries are crazy. These injuries are insane. All right, I already talked about the loss and what the injuries mean and all that. I already done that, but I want to talk about the injuries now. Just the injuries itself. I have never seen, like, even last year, you could argue the entire NFL has been having injury issue since last year. Now, why is that? Why is every team suddenly becoming injury prone? Everyone's losing stars left and right. The Bucs just lost Godwin, possibly Mike Evans. The Lions lost Aiden Hutchinson. 49ers are losing Christian McCaffrey and a bunch of other players. Every single team is losing stars, studs. And I'm not trying to minimize players that are not studs because it sucks for them, but I'm talking about impact for the league. All these stars and studs are just falling like flies at any point, any week. I'm not saying I want this to happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if Lamar Jackson suddenly, breaks his ankle or some shit. Like, I'm almost expecting a major injury every single week. A major injury in the fact that it would seriously affect their team or should affect their team. Lions did a pretty good against Minnesota without Aiden Hutchinson. But outside of that, it's like, what is with this? Is it the grass that we're using? Is it I thought this is kind of stupid. Like, I don't even completely believe in it, but it's the only thing I think of in my head. Are players forced to take certain angles, making them have to tackle in awkward positions? Because, so for example, how about this? Like, back in the day, you could tackle somebody with the legs, right? So if you're like fumbling or stumbling, you can just throw your body at the player, right? Now you have to tackle them in a certain way where you have to adjust your body at full speed. And I feel like that may have something to do with it, where you have to put your body in a situation to succeed, to make a play. And it's almost as if too much protection is not as like took away protection. Because imagine if you're on the ground, right? Imagine you're on the ground and you get up a little bit, you see the quarterback in front of you, you want to make a tackle, but you have to hit the chest, but you have a clear shot at their legs. And you can hug their legs, make sure their legs don't snap, whatever, you can do your thing. But if you did that, that would be a penalty and you're good. So you can't just throw your body and be like, oh, I got him. You have to get up, jump up, grab him, move your leg in a certain way. Like, seriously, the torque, the weird angles you have to take. Again, this could be stupid. This sounds dumb, but I'm trying to think of a reason why in a league that's supposed to be protecting players, in a league that made rules that are supposed to be more safer, we're seeing significantly more injuries. It's insane. And right now, and to move away from that real quick, the 49ers, we're without Hargrave, and now we're without Ayuk, even though Ayuk was never good in the first place. Like, Ayuk is not the same player at all whatsoever. So even missing him, it's almost as if like we just missed Ronnie Bell. It's almost as if we just missed your typical second-tier wide receiver on a team. That's what happened when we lost Ayuk. And then we lost Trent when he held out as well. It's not playing as good. He's starting to play better, but he wasn't playing as good. And then the Christian McCaffrey Achilles things kind of came out of nowhere. Is the 49ers are currently having the worst, I think worse than the Rams. Now the Rams have serious injury, but I think the 49ers officially topped the Rams in injury situation. It's insane. It's not even like your typical side players. It's all the studs are getting hurt. All the studs are not being able to play. It can't be just like, oh, Ronnie Bell hurt his ankle, so he's not playing. Again, I'm not saying I wish that, but I'm just trying to have an example of, for some reason, for the 49ers, their studs, all their studs, either be it because they held out or they got injured. That the Avengers are no longer the Avengers. They're the Thunderbolts, okay? They're just not the same. Brock Purdy is not even the same. And I'm not even saying that because he doesn't have his weapons. No, he straight up is making decisions that I've never seen before. It's not like he's holding onto the ball, gets sacked, and he's not throwing the ball, he's not getting yards, he's not playing form. No, he made poor decisions yesterday. Not yesterday, but Sunday. He played badly, way outside of what he usually does. Yeah. Jennings too, yeah. Mason's playing with dislocated shoulder. Oh, yeah, Mason. I think someone said that he's playing with a dislocated shoulder and it's still bothering him or something like that. I did hear something like that. So the entire team is facing an uphill battle consistently, constantly. I cannot think of a time this year where the 49ers were in a good position to win a game. Maybe week one against the Jets. But after that, it was just one thing after another, dude. It was just every week you can count on something bad happening to the 49ers after the Jets game. It's almost as if Aaron Rodgers was like, fuck the 49ers. You guys beat us. How dare you? I'm going to go take some ayahuasca, get my bad luck witch, bring over to my house, and we're going to curse you. That's what I feel like is going to happen because ever since we beat the Jets, man, it's been downhill. Brock looked like he took some edibles for something, dude. Something. He was not the same guy. Like even before that, before the Chiefs game, he played pretty well. I actually thought he was playing elite for what he had, for how shitty Ayuk was, for how terrible Debo is at his ability to separate, for George Kittle really being the only weapon he has. I guess Juwan Jennings too. Juwan Jennings is a stud. And George Kittle always kind of just being he is good, but he's never been the focal point of the offense. Or for Brock Purdy, he played elite in my opinion. All 6 weeks, I thought Brock Purdy played elite for what was given to him. I thought he was proving haters wrong, being like, he's doing this. He is at the time he was second in QBR, fifth in QBR, first in like multiple good stats, while the receivers were last in separation, last in yak. That is quite literally the worst you could possibly be for a receiving core, tight end, running back, and wide receiver. Brock Purdy was playing elite with that situation. But then against the Chiefs, no, he immediately became the problem. He was not that guy. Like I said before, at the beginning of this game, at the beginning of this live, Brock Purdy, I just completely lost my train of thought here. Brock Purdy was the reason why we were constantly in games, constantly fighting back. He was doing well. He was the only bright spot in every single game. But he was the reason we lost against the Chiefs. If he just kept the ball and took some sacks, if he threw away the ball and lived to see another down, those are things that I could say today to defend him. There are things he could have done where you could have been like, okay, well, he had no wide receivers out there. He did the best he could with what he had and made the plays that he had to when he could. He didn't do that. He went out there and forced things left and right. He threw it directly at DBs. I saw a Nathan Peterman out there. Juwan Jennings better than 50%. Yeah, he's fucking good. Underrated wide receiver. We got to steal from him. How much paying him? I wonder how many people Debo got sick in the lock. Oh my God, don't say that. Football gods, please don't. I thought the same thing too. If you're sick, man, with pneumonia, I get you want to fight back, man. But he looked bad. Debo actually looked bloated. He looked like he could barely breathe. When he was running off the field to go in the back room, he was coughing up a lung. You could see on his face. He looked like shit, dude. His face was like, yeah, put me in, coach. I could do it. He looked fucked up. Cowboys and Flyers fighting over 70 years in the toilet equals priceless. I don't know about that. That doesn't make any sense. We got 5 Super Bowls. That doesn't make any sense. Tribe equals a toilet with a cheap price. That's funny. That's funny. This statement, though, this one doesn't make any sense. This is just a hater statement, though. So 70 years, I don't want that. Ugh. But yeah, I still love this team. I still believe in this team. I think this team can do things. And if a lot of people want to quit and say this year's over, I don't blame you for thinking that, thinking what like everything's shit and we're shit and it's gonna be shit. I don't think that. I don't think it's over. We're just 3-4. We've come back from 3-5 before. We come back from 4-6. Okay, we're 1 loss down. We're facing the Cowboys. Go into the bye week. We'll be healthy again against a Bucs team that probably won't have Mike Evans and will not have Chris Godwin. There's still a window for the playoffs. And as long as there's a window for us in the playoffs, there's still a window. There's still a chance that we can make the Super Bowl. That's how I look at it. I'm not going to give up on this team. And I think it would be irrational if we just suddenly jump to that conclusion and being like, hey, this team can't do it. No. I've seen a lot worse teams make the playoffs. Okay, I truly have. Heck, the Jets could still make the playoffs. Can they? I don't know. No, actually, I think after they lost to the Steelers 2-5, I think they're fucked. But you get what I'm saying. There's still a window. There's still a path for the playoffs. So all I ask for Niners fans is like, if you want to be in shambles and feel like it just feels hopeless, I get where you're coming from, but I'm asking you not to. When you look at the reality of we're facing the division for the playoffs and us losing to the Chiefs, where we should have been underdogs, was a real thing that could have happened. There was a real chance that we were going to lose to the Chiefs regardless. To other teams prior to that, yeah, I could see you being bummed about the Rams, bummed about the Cardinals. The Minnesota Vikings, they fought hard, and they're one of the best teams in the NFC right now, so that would make sense. The Chiefs are the best team in the NFL. So you can't take this loss against the Chiefs as an indictment for the rest of the team and the rest of the year. It's illogical. It's illogical. It's just what's carrying this weight of hopelessness is the fact that we lost to the Chiefs again. It's just that we lost to the Chiefs again 5 times in a row. And so it just feels hopeless. If we were even make the Super Bowl, we face the Chiefs again. We're like, okay, can we even beat this team? But you need to understand that other teams feel the same exact way when they go in the playoffs. Other teams are going to feel exactly the same way as us heading to for the teams in the AFC. They're going to feel the same way going to the playoffs. They're going to feel like the Chiefs are going to win no matter what. They're going to feel like the Chiefs are going to make the plays that they have to win the game. All teams in the AFC are doing it. Every team that faces the Chiefs is going to feel that way. All we did was just fall into that expectation of Mahomes making the plays that he has to. The only thing is that one team has to just make the plays that they have to more so than him. And that rarely happens. It happened once with the Bengals. It's happened one time since 2019, people. And you could be like, okay, well, he lost against Tom. He lost to Tom Brady. Okay. And you could be like, oh, he didn't have an offensive line. I think that's not an excuse. He lost to Tom Brady. The other quarterback who's known for making plays when he has to. The only time Patrick Mahomes loses is if when he plays another quarterback that can literally win games because he makes plays because he has to. You know what I mean? So, yeah. We may make it to the wild card, but really not sure we can make it to the NFC Championship game. From there, I'll believe. I understand where you're coming from. Not sure we'll make the NFC Championship game. I agree with that. I'm not sure we will. I'm not as confident that we will. But I am confident we'll make the playoffs. I believe we'll make the playoffs. And I think the expectation is the playoffs. But there are factors, there are variables
for us to make this NFC Championship game. There are still variables, there are still factors that can get us into the Super Bowl. There are still things like that. CMC, team getting healthy, other teams not being able to handle the pressure, like in the playoffs, such as, again, the example of Lamar Jackson. There are still, because the playoffs is a different beast than the regular season. Dak Prescott, for example, another one, plays fantastic in the regular season, was an MVP runner-up last year. Not playing very good, as good this year, of course, but once they enter the playoffs, they are not the same team. So you would need the Packers, you would need the Cowboys all to beat their expectations, because their expectations, their curse, their trending problem is always losing in the playoffs, divisional and a wild card game. That is their curse. That is their problem that they have going on. Us, our curse is losing to the Chiefs, just like every fucking team in the NFL. So yes, I believe this team can still play dominant in the playoffs, still be a great team, especially since we may have CMC back. I don't want to say that for sure. Juwan Jennings, Ayuk's gone, but you know what? Ayuk was never a factor all year anyway. Okay, he was playing bad up to week 7, which the expectation for Ayuk at the time was to be better by that time, was to be the same Ayuk by week 7, week 8. And he was not. So Ayuk was never going to be our savior. Ayuk was never going to be the same. And even with him gone, I still believed our team was good. I still believe our team is good enough in the playoffs to win games. Especially Juwan Jennings just balling out, dude. Just looking like an absolute baby Megatron right now. So keep my head up high. The Cowboys game is going to be more of a statement game of a win or a loss. Of a win, that's a statement. If we lose, that's a statement. It's going to be huge. That Cowboys game is going to be huge. And again, the injuries for everyone's crazy, but the 49ers are definitely getting the worst end of it. Thankfully, so few of these injuries are season ending. Hargrave season ending. Hargrave, Curtis Robinson, and Brandon Ayuk. 3 players out of like 20 that have missed multiple games. I'd say that's pretty good. It's actually not bad for being the most injured team in the NFL, for sure. We're not a very good team if we have to depend on other teams' curses to make it to the playoffs and beyond. I'm not saying, how about this? I'm not saying we depend on it. I'm saying they have that expectation themselves. So when they themselves in their head, they have issues in the wild card in the division. So I'm not depending on it. I'm saying that can happen. I'm saying they have their own curses to beat. We have our curses. We have our situation right now. They have theirs. So, and I'm not saying like, oh, we're going to count on the Cowboys playing bad. No. But they themselves are going to have that in the back of their mind. When teams go into the playoffs to face the Chiefs, they're going to have that in the back of their mind. So when that happens, that leaves a window that tells you that in the playoffs, it is a different beast. Some people, regardless of who is on their team, will not win games because they are not the same player in the playoffs compared to the regular season. So the expectation that I expect the playoffs for every single team to feel different because in the past, it has for them. Every single team. There's all 32 teams feel a different pressure, become a different team in the playoffs than they are in the regular season. And I'm not saying, oh, we're going to beat the Cowboys. I'm not saying we're going to beat the Packers because we have their number. I'm saying it's because they also have what's having in the back of their head that's dragging them down. What they have proven that they cannot handle. So I'm saying for our team, we have a path. We have our own demons to deal with, and we're not the only team dealing with demons. we are a team that in the playoffs has proven they can fight to at least the NFC Championship game every single time. And trends are a thing. Trends are real. They tell you who you are. And the Cowboys constantly trending, telling you that they cannot handle the playoffs. Do I say like I'm depending upon them to do not? No. They could be better than us. They could beat us. But they have their own problems. We have our problems, but it's never been our problem in the playoffs until we reach the NFC Championship game or the Chiefs. And again, I've said a billion times, the Chiefs is everyone's problem. It's everyone's problem. So I've been ranting for an hour and 35 minutes. I haven't even showed a single video. I haven't showed a single stat. I've just been ranting for an hour and 35 minutes. I love my team. I believe in my team. We're going to go into the playoffs. We're going to dominate. Would you say that Kyle has a trend also? Is this trend that the 49ers need to break? What do you mean the trend? Like facing the Chiefs? Well, no, because that still is everyone's trend, right? Losing to the Chiefs in the playoffs. That's everyone's trend. That is a trend that we need to break, yes. That is a trend that we need to defeat. And only one team outside of Tom Brady, and that's the Bengals, since 2019. So I don't think – I think if Kyle losing to the Chiefs, that sucks. Okay? Yeah, he's 0-5. I get that. But I don't think that automatically makes him the 15th coach in the NFL. I don't think it makes him the 20th. I don't think it makes him a shitty coach. I still think Kyle Shanahan, if 28 teams fired their head coach, they would fire their head coach for Kyle Shanahan. A lot of teams would fire their head coach for Kyle Shanahan. I just don't think that the Chiefs being a good measuring stick for Kyle's shortcomings. I don't think it's a good measuring stick, especially since we've come back in the playoffs against the Packers. We've come back against the Lions. Like, those are big games. I don't understand, like, people saying, like, he can't win the big one. The big one is a playoff game. You lose, you go home. Regardless. You want to know who can't win the big game? Right? Mike McCarthy, yeah, he won the Super Bowl. He had a prime Aaron Rodgers. He had a loaded team. Just like the 49ers did. I get that. Mike McCarthy also had a loaded team and couldn't get it done. He's got his own trends going himself. He can't reach the NFC Championship game. They can't reach the Super Bowl. So I don't think Kyle should be held to the standard of, like, he can't win the big one because he loses to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. When every fucking team in the NFL that faces the Chiefs in the Super Bowl loses. Like, that's a lot. It's not like, oh, the Chiefs played the 49ers in the wild card game or in the division. They keep beating us. No, because then also what you need to say is if the 49ers constantly beat the Packers, then the Packers need to fire Matt LaFleur. Fire him. He needs to be fired right now. He's the reason why they kept losing. They can't win the big one against the 49ers. Fire Matt LaFleur right now. Do it. Because if you want to hold that against Kyle, you need to hold that against every fucking team that loses to the 49ers in the playoffs, and you need to hold that to every single team that loses to the Chiefs in the playoffs. It's ridiculous. I understand we're losing. I understand we're like in turmoil. I understand that, yes, Kyle needs to take responsibility for some things. Boo-hoo. Kyle is not the best head coach in the world. He is not the best head coach in the league. That is Andy Reid. Like, there's this weird narrative that Kyle Shanahan is the best head coach in the league, and he's held to that standard, and he's not. He's not. He's a top 5 head coach for sure. For sure. He beats teams that have coaches that are top 6, top 7. He does those things. Now imagine if we fired him, got another head coach, and he's top 15. You think the team would be better? You think we're going to reach the NFC Championship? You think we're going to reach the Super Bowl? Fuck no. Fuck no. The reason why the Kansas City Chiefs are winning these Super Bowls is because Andy Reid is the best head coach in the league. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league. It's crazy to me. Every other game that Kyle Shanahan has proven himself in the playoffs, constantly, all the time, we're suddenly going to be like, oh, he can't beat the Chiefs. He just can't do it. No one can. No one. Phillies finally won a Super Bowl after he left. And do the 49ers need to do the same favor for both parties? I thought that crossed my mind. And I know everything I just said. Andy Reid was an elite coach. I actually thought him being fired was crazy. I thought he was really good. I didn't think they should have fired him when he was with the Eagles. He goes to the Chiefs and suddenly he becomes he takes a year off, I think. I think he took a year off and got better at head coaching, got better at play calling, and did what he reflected and got better. That did cross my mind. But I don't think Kyle is this choker that everyone makes him out to be. He's just not the best head coach. He's just not the best head coach in the league. And that's who he keeps losing to, is the best head coach in the league. I don't mean to yell at Papa J. I don't mean to yell at you, man. I love you, man. You're a great guy and stuff. I just get passionate about that. I know we're getting worn down by Kyle and because we have to have something to blame and we have to have, but it's like the realistic situations where we lose are situations where we are the underdogs, are situations where the expectation, not the expectation, but expectation. There's another word for this, but when you're facing someone who's better than you, that's going to happen. Like the chance of you winning is lower. And if we fire Kyle Shanahan and he becomes better, right? He becomes a better head coach. This is sports talk. You weren't yelling, nor did I take it that way. But all right, so I want to make sure because I was yelling. I was feeling passionate because you're not the only. It's not just you. Like there are people that are completely taking this opportunity to completely discredit Kyle Shanahan as if he's like the worst fucking head coach on the planet, and it's just making me snap. Just making me snap. He's not the worst head coach in the world. He can win games. And when everyone else is failing against the same thing as Kyle is, how can you possibly throw that all on Kyle? If everyone else is struggling to stop if everyone else is struggling to stop Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, why does Kyle Shanahan get special treatment in the fact of, well, he just can't win the big one. He can't do it against what everyone else can do. And it's just, I don't know why that's not obvious. I don't know why that can't be like, okay, that makes sense. I think it's because Kyle is expected to be like the number 2 head coach, supposed to be like his top dog, and he has this elite team. And he's come up short. And it's like, you have this team and yet you lost. I've seen many teams in the playoffs who have this team and yet you lost to the Chiefs. Every team in the AFC last year, what your team was and you lost to the Chiefs, it's the same thing. If you don't talk passionate about your thanks, man. I appreciate that. It's all love here. Nothing is personal. It's just, I try not to yell. I try not to get too cursive and stuff because I could suppress live, and some people don't like that. But I don't know, man. Maybe it's because I remember Jim Tomsula. Maybe it's because I remember Chip Kelly. Maybe it's because I remember what's his name, Mike Singletary. Maybe it's because I remember all those other head coaches and I know what they brought to the team and how it was significantly worse. And then when I look at Kyle, I see success. I see winning. Is it a Super Bowl? No, obviously it's not Super Bowls, which sucks. But there's success. There's levels to success. If the Super Bowl was all I cared about, I would only watch this game in February. Did my team make it? Oh, okay. I guess they didn't. That's the only time I would watch. I'm watching this team for everything that they brought. They bring so much success to this squad. It's not, they don't win the Super Bowl. I get that. But there's Dallas. They can't do it. The Packers, like they can't do it. The Vikings, they've been there for multiple times, couldn't do it. The Saints, multiple times. There are levels to success. And then there's logical reasons to, like, this head coach and this quarterback is just better than our head coach and our quarterback. Because I think if we had Brock Purdy instead of Jimmy Garoppolo in those years where we faced the Rams, that like I can't remember what it was. We lost to the Rams. We had Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo's ass. And I promise you, if we had Brock Purdy, we would have won that game. Not every engine fits in every car. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I love this team. I still believe in this team. This team still has success. This team still has, you need success to make it to the playoffs. And that's what this team has. That despite all these injuries, there's still a window. There's still a path. If this team right now, after losing the Chiefs, immediately became, okay, they're not winning the playoffs, they're not doing this, they're not good, that means the 49ers prior to years have never shown us anything, that they can overcome things. They have shown us in previous years, down 3-5, 4-6, etc., losing significant players and still win games. They've done that. Still make the playoffs. They have done that. So there's levels to success. It's almost as if, like, if the Chiefs were last year, suddenly were like, despite their success prior, being like, fuck Andy Reid, fuck Mahomes, we're not going to win the playoffs, and we're not going to win. We're going to go to the Super Bowl. It'd be like that, just because their team was so decimated and a lot of things were going wrong for them, but they overcame it. There's levels to success, and the 49ers have levels to success. They have levels of things that they can overcome. They can overcome this and make it to the playoffs. They could do it. And we'll see. We'll see against the Cowboys, though. If we lose to the Cowboys, Papa J, I can't even fathom the level of. Okay, so if we lose to the Cowboys, Papa J, that would break trend. That would immediately become concern. That would immediately become like, okay, red alert. This team's not the same. The culture is not the same. It can't. I don't want to say it because it's too early. Just the thought in my head, though. I'd be pretty defeated. I would be very hard for me to bang the table for anyone. If you wanted to blame Kyle, I'd be very hard for me to stop you. If you wanted to blame anyone, it'd be very hard for me to stop you. Because losing to the Cowboys with the situation they're in, almost the same boat as us, but I feel like is worse. Despite our injuries, I still think we're a better team. If we lose, that means we're trending downwards significantly. That means losing to the Kansas City Chiefs took away a lot from the 49ers. And that would probably defeat me. That'd probably take me out. I'm trying to be real. I'm trying to be honest with my emotions right now. If we lost to the Cowboys, even with the bye coming up, things can change. We're just 3-5. Dear Lord, I don't know. That would be bad. That'd be bad. But then again, this past week we just lost to the best team in the NFL. God, losing to the Cowboys. It can't happen. I don't know if that's because I hate the Cowboys so much. I hate the Cowboys more than the Seahawks. I hate the Cowboys more than any team you can think of. And I don't know if that's because of my own personal bias. I'll feel that way. But if they lose to the Cowboys, It'll be foolish to fire Kyle at this point, considering what we've gone better this year. The true colors will be shown by the end of it. Yeah. That's facts. I believe that, Papa J. You're spitting hot fire at that one. If we continue, if Brock Purdy plays like he did against the Kansas City Chiefs, defense, team just keeps getting worse, or plays the same like they have, and they're not, because usually the second half of the season, the 49ers are better. The 49ers get better in the second half of the season, especially after their bye. After their bye, everything changes for the team. So, yes, I do agree. And I don't think firing Kyle Shanahan, firing a head coach in mid-season, in my opinion, is never a good idea. Unless you're out of the playoffs, unless it's clear as day that this dude cannot win you a playoff game or get you to the playoffs. Like, that's the only time I feel like you should be able to fire a head coach midseason. Kyle Shanahan has proven time and time again that the second half of the season is his bread and butter. His bread and butter is the second half of the season. The 49ers' bread and butter is the second half of the season. And we're still technically in the first half of the season. Even if we lose the Cowboys, we're still technically, but that would just hurt me so much, man. I don't know if I would be able to go live for a while, dude. I would literally make a post being like, hey guys, I'm defeated. You're not going to see me smile or give like any like passion at all. So you guys are not even want to see that. Like, I would be so defeated. I would have to wait 5 days if that happened. Brock has the same kind of performance against the Cowboys. Do you think we would be benched by? You think you would be benched by halftime? If Brock has the same kind of performance against the Cowboys, do you think he would? Depends. Are we getting blown out? Are we getting blown out? Like, is it bad? If we're getting blown out, yes. But same situation. I think it was like 14-12. I think heading into the second half, starting the second half, it was really close. It was tight. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't take him out because there's one thing that we need to see from Brock Purdy that we do see sometimes, but just not enough where you can say that he is this kind of quarterback, and that is making the plays when he has to. He needs to do that consistently. So if he plays bad against the Cowboys and it's close, right, I'm still think we should put him in there because he needs to develop that ability. He needs to work on that ability of making the plays when he has to. If we're blown out, if it's like 30-12 at half, yeah, put fucking Brandon Island in there. Put Joshua Dobbs in there, something. If it's that bad. But if it's close, I still think that Brock Purdy can work on his ability of being that quarterback, of making plays when he has to, when everything is going wrong. Tyler Helton in the house, bet you better know. Brock Purdy is not a system quarterback. Hey, it's Jones Love, man. I can see it. I think so too. I don't think he's a system quarterback. I think he just went up against the best team in the NFL. It was his worst game. I don't think you were here for this, but it was his worst game he's ever played. I have never seen him play like that. And until that becomes a trend, I am not going to say, hey, he's a system quarterback. This is the week for Brock Purdy haters for sure. If you're a Brock Purdy hater, this is your week to be like, system quarterback. He's trash. He's not this guy. He's not this guy. Ignoring everything else he did in the past. This is your week. Okay? But I appreciate you saying that, Tyler, especially you being a Chiefs fan. I appreciate that. And as a 49ers fan, I also believe he's not a system quarterback. Seriously. I've seen shit quarterback play for years. Okay? Coming on 2 decades, technically. I wasn't a real fan of football until 2005. So I can't take too credit, but I've seen a shit ton of terrible quarterback play. I've seen with my own eyes, when I look at a quarterback, can they play? Can they win games? When I look at Brock Purdy, I see someone completely different. I actually see someone special. I don't see a system quarterback. I've seen shit quarterbacks. I've seen terrible play. I've seen quarterbacks not be able to handle blitz. Okay. I've seen quarterbacks not be able to read defenses. I've seen quarterbacks not have the ability to anticipate a throw. Yeah, but there's one thing I've been preaching about Patrick Mahomes is like, even if, I mean, I already said like 20 times, I think, like earlier in the live, Patrick Mahomes makes the plays that he has to, regardless of how shitty he's playing. Patrick Mahomes can have the worst game he's ever played, but at the end of the game, he'll make the plays that he has to. He is just that quarterback. Brock Purdy, he has games where he played not the best, but he made plays that he had to, such as playoff games against the Packers and the Lions. Wasn't his best. But in the end, in the second half, he made the plays that he had to win the game. But it just seems like against the Chiefs recently, he did not have that magic at all. Last year against the Cincinnati Bengals, he didn't have that. Against the Vikings, he didn't have that. The Browns, he did. The kicker just missed a gimme. So there's inconsistencies in his ability to make the plays that he has to. Patrick Mahomes constantly makes the plays that he has to. And that's what separates that's what separates Patrick Mahomes from every other quarterback in the NFL, because I cannot think of another quarterback that is as consistent in that trait as him. Not Lamar, okay? Not Josh Allen, not Joe Burrow. So it's what separates Patrick Mahomes from rest of the quarterbacks. It's what separates Patrick Mahomes from stats. It's what separates him from that, is that those moments he will defy the odds, he will defy the way he's playing, and be dominant. That at the end, that's what he'll do. He'll snap right out of it. However he's playing, he'll snap right out of it and become a different quarterback. It's almost as if like he fits. It's almost as if he like meditates and goes, I summon like the fucking football god of God. I summon Tom Brady's skill ability. Like he saves it for like the last 5 minutes and scores 3 touchdowns somehow. Somehow, some way, a defender gets behind. Sorry, a wide receiver gets behind a defender somehow, and Patrick Mahomes knows it, doesn't even see it, and he could just be like, not even look and just throw it, and they catch it and it's a touchdown. He just has that ability, always has. Patrick Mahomes is just a freak of nature. Yes, he's one of one, man. Patrick Mahomes is one of one. And I hate that. I wish I could say that about Brock Purdy. I wish I could say Brock Purdy is the Patrick Mahomes in the NFL, and he's not. I wish I could. Do I think he's elite and he's still great? Not a system quarterback? Of course. But there's only one Patrick Mahomes. There's only one. Mahomes playing with wide receivers room is okay. I understand, but he's making plays that he has to with the shit that he has. And that's the thing. Like, you can give him – I feel like I could be out there. And he can get me a touchdown pass. I'm fat as fuck. All right? I feel like he can give me the ball, dude. I feel like I can score a touchdown with him. He'll somehow, some way, I will get behind a defender. I'll get behind a safety, some magical way, and he's going to see me, not even look, throw it, touchdown. That's what's going to happen. Patrick Mahomes, literally, I mean, he's just that guy, dude. He's that guy. So enough glazing Patrick Mahomes, but you got what I'm saying. He's just a different beast. He can't be compared to other quarterbacks in the league today. I feel like the only quarterback that can go up against him comparable is Tom Brady. And Tom Brady is considered the greatest quarterback of all time. Tom Brady is the only one that despite playing like shit throughout the entire game, he'll make the play that he has to at the end. It could be a 14-17 game in the Super Bowl, go down and score, unless it's the Giants. Unless it's the Giants in the Super Bowl. That's us about Kansas City. But then again, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes are the best in their positions today. While the Giants had Eli Manning, who was the best, and no offense to, I can't think of his name. I should know his name. The old Giants head coach for Eli Manning, can't think of his name right now, but that guy, not the best. Not the best head coach, and somehow he beats Tom Brady. It's crazy, man. And Joe Montana. Yeah, Joe Montana was the same way. Made the plays that he had to. You could play like shit, and he would play like shit, but he'll make the plays that he had to. You could look at John Elway the same way. John Elway, if you go look at his stats, dude. He was ass for 10 years. That dude was shit. He sucked for 10 years. But he made plays that he had to. And that's what makes you an elite quarterback. That's what makes you a top dog quarterback. That's what makes you a Hall of Famer. Despite everything going wrong for you, can you make the plays that you have to? So. All right, I'm going to go ahead and have to go to work, or I have to take care of some things. I did not expect to talk for 2 hours. This is probably the longest live I've ever done. Maybe it was necessary. This is a good therapy. Thank you, Papa J, for joining. Thank you so much. This is just me venting and, still hoping that I don't think I did, but I hope I gave some belief back to some 49ers fans in the fact that it's not over. It's not over. It just sucks that we just lost to a team that constantly beats us. That beats everyone. That constantly beats everybody. So, thank you, Papa J, for hearing me out. Everyone else, thank you so much for hearing me out. Tyler J, you're the best Chiefs fan I know. Respect, truly. And next week we got the Cowboys. We got Sunday Night Football against the Cowboys, and we're going to beat that team. We're going to beat the Cowboys. We're going to do it because we're better than them. We shouldn't be underdogs. The expectations is to beat them, and we're going to do it. This team is going to beat the Cowboys without Ayuk, potentially without Debo, but with Juwan Jennings, Kittle, and Mason. It's going to happen. I believe it. And I want the 49ers fans out there to actually just don't give up. It's not over. We're 3-4. There is a window. Right now, it's no longer the number 1 seed. Realistically, it's no longer number 1 seed. It is just beating the division. Right now, our focus is beating the Seahawks again, is getting payback against the Cardinals, and getting payback against the Rams. There is a window. And if the 49ers can learn from their mistake and not allow the Cardinals to come back and not allow the Rams to come back, those are W's. And they can do that. They could do that when they face them again. So our enemy right now is the division. That's what we're focusing on. Become first in the division. And it's very possible. Honestly, we were way better than the Seattle Seahawks. And they're first in the division. So, I miss old Mahomes. I'm sure you miss that dominant team. I'm sure you do, but you just win, though, You just win. Thanks, Wolfie. You actually made me feel better about Kyle. I'll keep him around for one more week. Yeah. If we lose next week, man, there's nothing I can say, man. Just come in the chat and do your thing because there's nothing I can do, dude. I think losing to the Cowboys would probably lose me, even me. I'm like, all right. Kyle's just not good this year. He's trash. If we lose to the Cowboys, then yeah, I think I would officially jump on the Kyle just having the worst year, being bad, and do we fire him at the end of the year if he continues to lose like that? Yes. I would immediately jump on the wagon of, all right, man, you're not good anymore. But I still think he's a top coach. I still think the trend is the Kansas City Chiefs just have the best coach and the best quarterback. And as long as Kyle Shanahan still beats the teams that he has to, that he's expected to, because again, we were not expected to beat the Chiefs, but I do expect us to beat the Cowboys. We need to beat the Cowboys. Oh my God. All right. And also, I want to say this before I go, because actually I'm going to take off. I saw that somebody posted on, I think it was a TikTok I saw, but it was a tweet. No CMC, no Debo, no Juwan Jennings, no Ayuk, or something like that, and a bunch of other things. And they go, now's our chance. We can beat the 49ers. That's how I feel with the Chiefs last year. It was like, they don't have this, they don't have that, so now we can beat them. I see us in the Cowboys, but in a lower tier going up against us. I see them going, all right, this is our time. And I still think with all those variables, we're still better than the Cowboys. Because Diggs looks washed as fuck. Diggs looks washed. Bland, I heard, is back, but we all know that if you come back from an injury, it usually takes more than a week to come back. And they got nothing in the run game. The 49ers, I don't think – a lot of people want to say we need a DB or whatever. I don't think DB is our issue. I think we can guard double – I think we could double CeeDee Lamb, and cover a washed Brandon Cooks. I think we'll be fine there. I truly think that. There's nothing that I look at the Cowboys and I think to myself, we're going to lose, unlike the Chiefs or even the Minnesota Vikings, where I thought, okay, a lot of things were saying that we weren't going to win that game. But for the Cowboys, there's nothing that tells me or gives me a reason to say, hey, the Cowboys should beat us. We have a better quarterback. We have a better head coach. And I think better defense. Maybe not a better offensive line, but I think we're better everywhere. Maybe special teams. I think they got a better kicker. I mean, unless they score, 30 points with their kicker, we're better. We're better. Their kicker is fucking good, though. Audrey is amazingly good. Best kicker in the NFL. It was Justin Tucker. Justin Tucker became the worst kicker in the NFL, and now it's Aubrey. That dude's so good. Unbelievably good at his job. Unbelievably good at kicking balls. So, all right, guys. I'm going to get out of here. Much love. Thank you so much, Papa J, for joining. You're awesome, man. As always, OG. I'm going to go live again tomorrow and then go live. No, wait, today's Tuesday. Don't count on a live tomorrow, but definitely Thursday night, because that's when Thursday night football is happening. But I probably will go live tomorrow. Don't hold me to it. If not, I'll put out a video reacting to some interviews and stuff. I'll do something like that if I don't go live tomorrow. But you can count on me going live on Thursday, because that's Thursday night football, and usually I'm pretty committed to game day footballs. So take care, Papa J. Take care, Tyler Helton. You're awesome, man, as always. Who else was in this chat? Tribe, you're a douche. I mean that with love. I'm just going with the Papa J Tribe 8 circle you have going on there. So I want to jump in and be like that. Sam, good to see you, man. Good luck. Chiefs again coming here. Hey, you have the right to talk shit a little bit. It's your right. I can't say anything about that. Scott, good to see you, man. As always, OG, no doubt. Hobo Chog, I don't know what that means, but hey, I appreciate you firing me up, getting me ready to start the live. Good to see you. To everybody else who watched this later, if you agreed with anything I said, if you disagreed and yet I convinced you of any way, if you disagreed but I still entertained you and I gave you a good conversation or something to think about or whatever, and you love my rants or whatever, please sub, because I'm usually like that all the time. I'm pretty committed. I can be hard-headed at times, but I'm pretty committed to what I believe in and what I say. And if you like that, sub if you like the content. And if you liked my total breakdown of all of this, if you like the live, I go live just about every single day. Well, now every other day at least. New variables have come across. So like the live if you like it. Beat the Cowboys, please God. All love, fam. I'll see you next video.